Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Boingy, and I pretty much talk about everything. I talk about true crime, I talk about TV reviews, and there's definitely more that's yet to come. So I would highly suggest that you click on the subscribe button and join us every week as we get into these things. Today's video is about season 2 episode 1 of Catfish. It's Cassie and Steve, and as you can tell, season 2 started off with a bang because it's definitely up there. Every time people discuss some of the best Catfish episodes, this episode always pops up, and you'll see why in a few minutes. Before we even get into that, I just think that this is one of those instances that show you that sometimes even the people closest to you are not who you think they are, or sometimes the people that are plotting your downfall are like closer to you than you imagined. I feel like that's something that's important to say straight off the bat, because a lot of people often don't check to see if the people close to them are like really 100% trustworthy. And I know that I would say not everybody's 100% trustworthy or reliable, but it's always important to just, you know, check your circle and make sure that there's no rotten potato in the bag, because we all know how that goes. So without further ado, the episode starts off with Neve and Max getting an email from Cassie, who needs help meeting her fiance, and that is already a bad start.
I need help in meeting my fiance, Steven.
Bad start already. You mean to tell me, right, straight off the bat, it's like a huge question mark. You mean to tell me that this girl is engaged to somebody that she's never even met? She's never even video chatted with this person, but she's engaged to them. And to top it all off, she's writing to Catfish hoping to get a positive outcome. I don't know. In her email, she says that her dad passed away in 2010. They were really close with her father, and his death was rather unexpected. So this really led her to a bad path of drinking, partying, having sex every chance that she could get. And she knew that this wasn't the right path, but that's the path that she went under, you know, while she was grieving her dad. She then got a friend request from Steven, who is an aspiring rapper from Atlanta, and you know, she didn't really think much of it because she works with Power 96, which is one of the big radio stations in Miami, so she kind of gets hit up by such people every once in a while. She didn't really question Steven much and his career much, so that's that. They've been talking for about 2.5 years. They're now engaged, and they've never met, they've never video chatted because his camera and microphone weren't working the one time they tried. So they get on a video chat with Cassie. She tells them that she proposed to Steven and he said yes, so technically they are engaged, and they have never met again. Like I said, they've never video chatted, but after the first attempt, Cassie never tried again because she trusted him and she felt like the first attempt was enough, which, girl. They confide in each other about everything. They tell each other they love each other, and Steven is actually the reason why she now values herself more. She has more self-worth, and she's not, you know, doing the same things that she was doing before she met Steven. She also says that she would bet her life that Steven is the guy in the photos, but the reason why they just won't meet, or they just haven't met and he just won't video call, is because he's hiding something. So girl is convinced that Steven is who he says he is. She's not being catfished. So the guys say that they'll be coming over to Miami. Obviously everybody's excited, and it's funny to me because Neve is such a hopeless romantic. You know, they're throwing up the heart signs. Everybody except for Max is like happy and excited, giddy, you know, hopeful that the outcome will be positive. But like, Neve, come on, how many times have we done this? This is season 2 already, and you know it's not gonna end well. It rarely ever ends well on Catfish. Cassie is just such, you know, a ray of sunshine. She's very excited to meet the guys. She's showing them pictures of her family on the wall, and she's just overall excited. I think she's also excited because the guys are here to help her meet her fiance. So I think anybody would be excited. But at the same time, if I were in her shoes, I'd also be very nervous because this is Catfish, and they've chosen your story, so you know it's bad. To be honest, I think anyone would be excited to meet Neve and Max, but I'm just saying that I would be, you know, a little bit more nervous. But Cassie was just excited, and I get it because, you know, I would also be excited if I thought I would be meeting my man or my fiance. So all that is understood, but anyways, they get to sit down and now Cassie shares a little bit more of her story with us. Cassie says that her dad went to visit their family in Haiti, and unfortunately on his second day there, there was an attempted kidnapping, but her dad stood in front of the guys who were attempting to kidnap her cousin, and because he wouldn't move, they shot him in the head, and you know, he died on the spot.
What do you miss most about your dad?
The long hugs.
She hit rock bottom at this point, but then she met Steve and everything changed after that, because you know, she started cleaning up her act with the help of Steve. She then shows them photos of Steve, and he's like this hot, sexy, model looking type of guy with, like, you know, I think green eyes, he's brown skin, he has six-pack, he has abs and muscles, he's like, ugh.
Wow.
Do you see that? Do you see that?
He's the type of person that you would read about, you know, in a book, in like a romance book. He's definitely a looker, but at the same time, it's like, girl, that's the type of person you think wouldn't be confident to hop on a video call, wouldn't want to video chat with you every time, or, you know. At this point, she also realizes that she only has 6 photos of him, but she says that she was just so mesmerized by Steve that it never occurred to her that she only had 6 photos. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna need Cassie to wake up because she's being ridiculous at this point. Anyway, at this point, Cassie also shares with the guys that she and Steve have had a lot of phone sex, and she seems really excited about this. And it was just so kind of weird to me how she was making direct eye contact with Steve just as she was saying this.
Okay. Phone sex is a great part, though.
But that's none of my business. She also brings up the idea or the fact that they've had phone sex multiple times throughout the episode, which was exhausting. I didn't want to be hearing about that. So the guys then leave and they start their investigation on Steven. Steven, again, is a musician and he goes by the alias of S Killer. So they first start by playing his music and shazamming it, trying to find any hits, and their faces during this entire, you know, thing was, their faces were real. They were actually, you know, relatable, because I was also kind of like,
Why don't we download his songs and Shazam them? Alright, let's try another one. Nothing.
you're in the studio all day, every day, pushing your music career, and this is the best you can come up with? Steven is lame. But this also shows you that when people are in love, they really just think that even the lamest of things are cool. Because Cassie, girl, this music is lame and it's giving white boy. Not that white boys are weird or lame, sorry, but it's giving white boy, and I don't know why you thought that Steven was making that type of music as an Atlanta rapper who's always in the studio, always traveling, always promoting his music. But anyways, they Shazam the music and there are no hits on the songs. So then they decide to search for S Killer Atlanta, S Killer Atlanta rapper, S Killer Atlanta hip hop, and they have no hits. Well, they did have a hit, but it didn't sound even remotely close to the type of music that Steven was sharing with Cassie. From there, they decide to go to Steven's Facebook account that Cassie shared with them, and Steven is very vocal about his music and his relationship with Cassie, but he only has like plus minus 94 friends, which is sketchy to begin with, because even me, as somebody who has like a very close and tight-knit circle, I have like a bunch of friends, and even if you have like just people you know on Facebook, you would at least have over 100 friends, not just 94. So at this point, the guys decide, okay, let's just do a reverse image search and hope for the best, and surprise, surprise! Surprise, surprise! The photos are not Steven. They get a hit to a Diony Arnaz, who is a model with almost 7K likes or followers on Facebook, and he definitely has a whole lot of photos on this page, so it just goes to show that this is a more legitimate page than Steven's page. With all this information, as they always do, they pack up their stuff and they go to meet Cassie to give her some feedback of what they found. Cassie is with her best friend Gladys getting their toes done, and Neve joins them while Gladys tells them all about their friendship. She says that they've been friends since the first day of school, and at this point they don't just consider each other best friends, they actually consider each other to be sisters, which shows just how close they are.
I wouldn't really say she's my best friend. I look at her more like my sister.
But this to me was kind of reminiscent of, you know, Tony and Antoine, and if you didn't catch that video, definitely you need to go check it out, and I'm gonna leave it in the cards. Gladys also says that she knows that Steve pulled Cassie out of the dark hole that she was in, and she's just happy that, you know, Cassie has somebody that can do that for her, but she just wasn't sure about the proposal. She thought that Cassie had gone a little bit too far, but either way she was supportive of her friends. So the guys then sit down with both Cassie and Gladys, and they give them, you know, feedback of everything that they have found. Obviously, as expected, Cassie is heartbroken by the realization that Steven is not the person on the photos.
My heart just like fell into my stomach right now.
The very next day, her spirits are still a little bit low, but she tells the guys that Steve shared a new song with her via email, and then she forwards the email to the guys, and the guys just try to investigate this specific song. So they search up the details of the song, and the details actually lead them to a revelation.
Now we've got something.
They find that the song is by an author called Why Not Party, and when they search up Why Not Party, it's a white guy. It's a white guy, and all the music that he has shared with Cassie, all the songs are on Why Not Party's page, and Why Not Party's real name is actually Tony. They go back to meet Cassie with this new information, and Cassie is actually shocked by the sight of Tony's photo because she recognizes who Tony is.
That's Gladys's cousin.
It's Gladys's cousin. Gladys's cousin. She is repulsed by this. She is disgusted by this. She is embarrassed by this, and she's also heartbroken because this entire time she really truly believed that Steven was the real person in the pictures and that he was just hiding something, but in reality he's a fake person, and even his identity is not real. So yeah. They then decide to drive over to Gladys's house to confront Tony, and man, Cassie was furious. Even you can tell by her walk that she was just furious, she was fed up, she was ready to confront somebody.
Did you not?
I rang the doorbell.
They get to the door, they knock on the door, and Gladys comes to the door, and you know, Cassie asks, "Where's Tony?" Gladys says, "She's inside. What's up?" And they're like, "Tony's music is adding up to Steve's music, so what's up with that?" And Gladys at this point crumbles.
You think it's Tony?
Did you know about it?
Ugh. Steve. I made up Steve. Steve's me.
Cassie's very furious at this point. She was already very furious at the thought or the idea that Gladys could know that Tony's catfishing her, but she didn't know that Gladys was actually the one catfishing her, so she was very furious.
Fuck that shit.
She walked off, went to the car, and she cried, called her mom. She couldn't believe what had happened to her.
Mommy, you're not gonna guess who's Steve. Gladys.
Neve follows Cassie to the car, convinces her to come back outside to ask Gladys some questions. So Cassie does just that. Gladys says that she just wanted her friend to get back on the right track. She was afraid of the path that she was on. She was partying every night, having sex with random men every night. So she really just wanted her friend to be on the right track, and she created Steve. But she also says that whenever she would try to pull away, Cassie would go back on the same track, so she would bring Steve back again. Tony was only involved to the extent of the phone calls, but it was all Gladys, basically. And she says that the reason why Cassie didn't know or couldn't tell is because she has two identical phones. two identical white iPhones, and she used them both. One is her personal one and the other one is Steve's one. And also whenever she said, oh, I'm at the studio, oh, it's loud in here, oh, I'm traveling, she was normally either at school or at work or with Cassie, so she obviously couldn't pick up the phone and talk to her because Tony wasn't around. She also explains that when Gladys, oh my god, when Cassie proposed to Steve, she said okay. She was shocked, but her response was okay, which to her wasn't a yes. So she was confused basically when Cassie started going around saying that she's engaged to Steven, because her response was okay. Which, I mean, I do that too. Like sometimes I'm like okay to people, like okay, that's not a yes. That's like okay, I hear you. So I think maybe that was her, you know, her thought process as well. Cassie also goes inside to speak to Tony, who seems slightly remorseful. Like I couldn't tell you whether Tony is remorseful or not, because obviously we haven't really spoken to him at all before this, but he seems okay. He seems, yeah, I don't know. Tony says that yeah, he was involved to the extent of the phone calls, but he's not Steve. And he also says that he wishes he was at this point, which I feel like he was trying to make it seem like, oh, we've developed this strong connection up to this point. It wasn't just a game. I wasn't doing it to embarrass you. I think he was trying to make it seem like he cares for her. He wasn't trying to hurt her feelings, so he was trying to say something that he thought would make the situation better. But if I'm being honest, I didn't really get the vibe that he actually meant that he wishes he was Steve in that sense. But nonetheless, the conversation went well, and that's where it ended. And everybody went their separate ways, and they re-adjourned again tomorrow. So the guys first went to Gladys to get, you know, the backstory, and basically everything that I've shared with you is what Gladys said again, that her friend was going down a bad path. She wasn't listening to her, she wasn't listening to her mom, she wasn't listening to anybody, any of them. And Steve, once Steve, you know, came into the picture, that's when everything changed, and she was listening to Steve. She was now back on the right track, and so she just kept Steve going to keep her friend on the right track. They also take Gladys and they go to meet Cassie just so that they can talk it out and hash it out. And Gladys was actually scared that Cassie was gonna beat her bum, but Cassie was like, I'm not gonna do that. And she said that, you know, she does recognize that ever since Steve came into the picture, her life changed. She now values herself more, she respects herself more, and so she recognizes that, but she still, you know, wishes it wasn't her friend behind all that. And of course the trust has not been broken, but she said that she forgives her and they can work on it, and that is about it. They check in after 2 months, and Cassie says that, you know, she and Gladys speak, but they've only ever hung out with other people around, and she has also now made it a habit to constantly check Gladys's social media, computer, phone, just to make sure that she's not catfishing and she's not doing anything, which is, you know, it's understandable. And then Gladys also hops on and she says that, yeah, she's trying really hard to rebuild their friendship, and she knows it's going to take some time, but she is willing to do whatever it takes to work on it. And now she has also been refraining from using social media, and she has also deactivated the Steve profile, and that is it. And as much as in the beginning I said, you know, your enemy can be close to you or closer to you than you ever could imagine, whatever, I don't think that Gladys was Cassie's enemy. I feel like Gladys has had a lot of good intention behind what she did. And sometimes people, you know, sometimes people believe in that philosophy of the end justifies the means, and I actually do not believe in that at all, because if you are burning things down on your way to something good, then nothing good can come out of that, honestly. But I feel like she had a lot of good intention. This was just the wrong way to go about it, and I understand that she was trying to talk to her friend, her mom was trying to talk to her, everybody around her was trying to talk to her, but she wasn't listening to them. But I think that at that point they should have tried to be more supportive in other ways, instead of, you know, creating a whole new identity, a fake identity, a fake persona for her friend to hold on to, all in the hopes of, you know, getting her on track or getting her on the right path. Like, the intention was good, but the actions, that's not how you do it. That's not how you do it. You don't catfish your best friend. You just don't do it. That's just not how it works, you know. But let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about Gladys, and, you know, everything that she did. Outside of that, I think this brings us to the end of the video. I really enjoyed chilling with you guys again, and you'll definitely see me again next week, and I hope to see you too next week. Goodbye.